Hi friends, today I am going to review the book, Succeeding with Senior Management, Getting the Right Support at the Right Time for Your Project by Michael Campbell PMP. Executive Backing. Project managers know they need the support of their company's senior leaders, but many admit they don't know how to obtain it. Most top executives think about strategy and their organization's overall needs, but they may lack interest in the details of the projects they approve. At the outset, senior managers take a hard look at which projects their businesses should undertake and make strategic choices and investment decisions. But, once they decide to pursue a project, they feel they've done their job, and they hand the undertaking over to a project manager for implementation. They choose one executive as the project sponsor, and that person remains the only senior person with continuing interest in the project. Why is executive leadership so important to the success of a project? The simple answer is that people respond to the agenda that their boss feels is important. The executive perspective. Project managers need to understand the world that their firm's executives inhabit, which means analyzing their organization's political structure. Sponsors will distance themselves from a project if it doesn't meet its objectives. Sponsors who don't pull back from faltering projects could suffer in the power struggle within the organization's top tiers. A sponsor will begin to trust a project manager when the emphasis is on solutions. Corporate executives must meet two different sets of obligations. They must boost profitability in the present and plan for the future. Project managers must determine what they need from senior management in light of those executives' obligations. Most senior managers have little time for, or interest in, projects. Projects often start with great fanfare and all manner of support from everyone involved. Then battles occur as the project progresses and support begins to dwindle. Project managers are familiar with the idea of having an executive sponsor, but they may find it challenging to ensure the sponsor's involvement for the entire tenure of the project. They might also need a project champion in the executive ranks. Project managers should form a working committee that remains in place throughout the project. They must know which parts of the business their project will affect so they can recruit committee members from those areas. Business is full of jargon and acronyms. So is project management. Be very sensitive to using either jargon or acronyms when talking with your sponsor. Project managers must let top leaders know when they need their input and under what circumstances. Senior executives must agree to communicate with project managers and to convey information that project managers need. For that to happen, the project manager must design a communication strategy. The problems that managers and their sponsors encounter often result from communication failures. Consider the amount of risk, the risk tolerance, your sponsor is willing to take in completing the project successfully. Project managers need to understand what problems the project should resolve and what impact it will have on the business overall. They must assess how their project's progress will affect their sponsor's career and anticipate the obstacles they might confront. For instance, if the project agreement has gaps, the project manager needs to identify what's missing so the sponsor can help address those gaps. Building relationships. Trust is vital to nourish a relationship between a project manager and a sponsor in which neither side conceals information or emotions. To achieve a reputation for reliability, project managers must demonstrate unwavering dedication to their project. To earn credibility, they have to demonstrate their competence by making sure their project achieves its goals. As a project manager, use the process of formulating your project's charter as an opportunity to build bridges with your sponsor and to define the scope of the project. Determine which metrics the sponsor will use to gauge the project's success. The charter can also define the business benefits of the project and increase the project manager's understanding of why the organization wants to undertake it. Stakeholder analysis. As a project manager, you should work with your sponsor to identify the project's various stakeholders within your organization. Assess the impact they could have on your project, and examine which parts of the organization your project will most affect. In consultation with your team, conduct a preliminary impact analysis. Work with your sponsor to determine which elements of the project its stakeholders might not like and why. Determine the best method for obtaining their comments and decide how to manage their expectations. I worked with project managers who were Air Force veterans and described the protection they received from their sponsor as top cover. Disagreement often comes because the warring stakeholders are not actually defining the problem the same way. When researchers analyze how people listen, they find some people focus on how others will respond. Some listeners want to get to the heart of a problem as soon as they can. Another subset wants data and technical information, and another group of listeners wants to make sure they don't waste time. Project managers should learn how their sponsors and pivotal stakeholders prefer to listen. Find out if your sponsor favors formal or informal communication. Attitude matters. Your attitude as a project manager will affect your relationships with your sponsor and other executives. They see you as the expert on the ground, and they expect you to implement the project successfully. Show your sponsors that you'll protect their interests. Project managers need to consider which elements of their project can benefit from the sponsor playing a major role. Are there risks the sponsor can help mitigate? Help your sponsor by crafting a leadership plan to complement your communication plan. As appropriate, use one of 3 pathways to influence people: authority, technical expertise, or personal relationships. Often the highest use of a sponsor is to wield influence through authority. Perceptions and understanding. Most people's perceptions shape what they understand. Consider how your executives see things when you talk to them. Before you reach out to new leaders, research their perspective. Determine which people to approach about specific concerns. Select the data they need and how you should engage them. A real key to resolving conflict is listening carefully. That may seem counterintuitive because our first reaction is to prepare our arguments and get ready to go into battle. Plan how you'll learn their reactions to the information you provide. Decide which people you must consult and update consistently. How much do important stakeholders know about the project? What do they need to know? Do they have strong feelings about particular parts of the project? Dealing with difference. Project managers can find themselves in conflict with senior executives for a variety of reasons. Quite often, people's divergent perspectives turn out to be the root cause of differences. Be open to understanding the other person's point of view. Being able to see an issue from someone else's perspective can enable you to ease his or her opposition. Often, you can resolve these situations by listening. This may feel contrary to instinct, because most people get ready for conflict by strengthening their own position, not by heeding the other person's viewpoint. Avoid making assumptions. Try to see the situation as others might see it, and examine a variety of solutions. Don't take differences of opinion or strategy to heart. They're not personal. The most crucial success factor in project management is effective communications to all stakeholders. Pulse study. Reach out to the executives your project affects by building links with their trusted subordinates, including operational and back-office personnel. These staff members will have greater access to their superiors than you will. Ask your main stakeholders to suggest members of their staff to serve on the working committee since they may assist in your upward communication. Confronting risk. Project managers always encounter risk. Call on your sponsor's support to ameliorate certain risks. Discern how much risk your sponsor can handle. Ask your sponsors which obstacles they think are the most important. While it may seem a cliché to say that relationships are built on trust, it is the absolute truth. It doesn't matter if it is a marriage, friendship, or a workplace relationship. Trust is absolutely essential. When anxiety builds around your project, your ability to think calmly may falter. That's another reason to enter into discussions with your sponsor at the project's inception. You want to build the mutual capacity to discuss solutions productively once the project is underway. Defining scope. Project managers face 2 verities. For a project to succeed, managers must define it accurately. However, a project scope often changes during implementation. Work with your sponsor to define it and to uncover any unspoken assumptions that could emerge from the project plan itself or the business side of the operation. When there is good news to communicate, deliver the information early in the message and usually with a tone of congratulations. Insist that any requests for project changes officially come to you so you can discuss them with your sponsor as they arise. This will ensure greater clarity than any informal discussion. Dealing with problems. One of the most challenging aspects of project management arises when you run into a problem and have to tell your sponsor about it. Inform your sponsor of all developments, good and bad, on an ongoing basis. Another reason you will need a positive attitude has to do with the resistance to change that your project will encounter. Boost your confidence by planning in advance with your sponsor and other senior executives exactly how you will deal with problems. Have these discussions before project implementation begins. At that time, most people only think about the benefits of the project and usually set aside politics for a while. If you don't plan for problem solving at this point, you set yourself up for trouble in the future. One of the most important parts of developing a trusting relationship with your executive sponsor is providing options and/or recommendations for important decisions as the project progresses. Project managers often forget that they will hand their projects over to the operations staff upon completion. Draw on sponsor support in communicating with these groups. Make no presumptions about what people already know. Assume that you must explain the entire project, including its purpose, budget, scope, and so on. Communication. With larger operational groups, project managers must be even more attentive to communication. When you have good news, insert it early in your message. Keep your tone upbeat. Handle bad news differently. Frame the information in a way that promotes a productive, solution-oriented attitude toward the bad news and discourages negative interpretations. Be mindful of your communications across the business, not only to senior management. When you draft a letter or email, be aware that people who are not directly involved in the project could read it. If you have doubts about your message, don't send it until you consult with your sponsor. Assess what other activities might affect your project. Consider the political climate within the business when you evaluate internal competition from other initiatives. Projects often hit obstacles when the company engages in other activities that senior management regards as higher priorities. This could lead to the business diverting personnel or resources from your project, which could generate delays. You might worry that you're losing senior management support. Draw on your sponsor's assistance to analyze and combat this situation. Takeaways. Senior managers focus on strategy and not on the details of the projects they approve or even sponsor. After a project launch, problems will arise and executive support is likely to dwindle. Project managers must understand the executive's world and the political structure of their organization. Trust is vital between the project manager and the executive sponsor. The process of crafting a project's charter can serve as a way to build bridges with its sponsor. Project managers should assess how their sponsors and stakeholders prefer to listen. Decide whether to pursue formal or informal communications. Your attitude as a project manager affects your relationships with the sponsor. People's perceptions shape what they understand, so work with your sponsor's viewpoint. To reach out to executives affected by your project, build links with their trusted subordinates. Project managers always confront risk. Call on the sponsor for help as needed. If you enjoy our content and would like to stay updated with our latest videos, please like, share and consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you so much for watching.